Hey, what is up, guys? Welcome into Trainer Talk Tuesday. Hope you're having a great week so far. We got some good information for you here today. We want to talk to you about a few things, 6 things in particular that you can do to improve your workouts today. So let's go ahead and jump right in and start telling you guys what it's all about.
Yep, guys, so if you're one of those people who is doing a training routine, you're working on your fitness, but the results really just don't seem to match the effort that you're putting in, then very first thing here, number 1, you need to take a few steps back to the very beginning and set a goal. And a lot of people kind of overlook this step, especially if they're just training on their own. They're just like, I know I need to work out, I know I need to do this, so then they just start moving more, which is great. But we want to be a little bit more specific about that, about what that looks like. So you really need to identify what your main goal is. And once you know what that number 1 thing is, and that doesn't mean that you can't have other things, but what's that one thing that you want to focus on? Maybe you want to get stronger. Maybe you want to lose fat. Maybe you want to just focus on moving in general so you can play with your grandkids, or so you can walk up a flight of stairs without getting winded. Whatever your goal looks like, you need to identify it so then your workouts and the volume of your training can correlate to what that goal is. So they need to match up, they need to make sense. So that's number 1, guys. Go back, set a goal, and while you're at it, go ahead and let us know in the comments what your fitness goal is. So go ahead and let us know. We would love to hear from you guys, and then also give you a few pointers on what direction to take from there.
Yes, guys, setting goals is critically important, as you know, in every aspect of your life. If you don't have a goal, then you don't have a plan. You're pretty much just doing things with really no set, with no end game in mind. So if you want to do something, actually have purpose and meaning to it, you need to have a goal so that you can obtain it. So that way, every movement, everything you do has purpose to it. So guys, to have purpose in your workouts, to have something that is actually pushing you in a certain direction, you need to have a goal in mind, and that'll be one way to take the thought of your mind when you're walking through the gym. Should I do this? Should I do that? It kind of eliminates all that for you, so you have a set plan from the moment you walk in to the moment you leave out, and it's going to give you a much more greater feeling of satisfaction as you do so.
Yep, guys. And that's going to take us into number 2. So now that you have a goal, and because of that goal you have a plan set in place, you need to be consistent with what that plan looks like so you can achieve that goal. A lot of times you'll be out in public, and fitness is a very common subject to get into, especially if that person is wanting to work in that particular area. And so you get in these conversations like, oh, do you work out, or do you do this, do you do that? And oftentimes we'll say yes, like, yeah, I work out, or yeah, I'm active, yeah, I go on walks, I do that. But then if you're being honest with yourself, how often do you do those things? And the reality is, a lot of us will say that we're physically active, but when it comes down to it, it's very sporadic. There's no level of consistency behind that intentional movement. So yes, maybe you do lift weights, but you probably only do it like a couple of times a month. That's not going to help you reach your goals. If you want to be successful in this, just like anything in life, you have to have consistency. And there also has to be time behind that consistency. So not only do you have to do it and do it frequently, you also have to do it for an extended amount of time frequently in order to get results. And you have to keep doing it to maintain results. So this is why we say this is a lifestyle change. You have got to be consistent. This isn't, you see those funny memes about like doing one sit-up and then looking in the mirror hoping that you have abs. Although we wish that was true, and we wish that it worked that way, it is far, far, far from the truth, guys. That's why we make so many jokes about it online, because we know that in order for you to get results, you've got to keep doing it, and you have to stay committed to that plan, that goal that you set at the beginning. So
yeah, absolutely. Just like you said, it runs hand in hand. Just like you need a goal, that way you have a set plan in place. You need to be consistent with that as well. just as you heard just there. And guys, it's just like we mentioned before, that goes with all things that has meaning and purpose to it. So to be consistent with it, normally consistency is the bigger issue earlier on, as even though it's important throughout the process, it's going to be a more important factor the earlier on in that process, as your body begins to get adapted and accustomed to the changes that you're trying to make. And once and the more you're consistent with that routine, the easier it becomes as your body gets stronger and adapted to it, and now it can handle a much more intenseful load. And keep this in mind too, something is better than nothing. So even on those days where you feel like, hey, maybe you ran low on time, you got too caught up with work that day, or the kids, there's just too much to bear, and you didn't have time to actually make it to the gym and get that workout in. That's still not an excuse, because you can still accomplish something at home that day by just doing a minimal body weight workout that day. And if you are able to make it to the gym and you just don't feel like doing it that day, those tend to be the days where you have the most satisfaction with. Once you finish, when you're feeling most reluctant to want to get that workout in, because trust me, we all have those days. Those are the days where we have the greatest sense of satisfaction as well, because you did something that you didn't want to do and you worked yourself past that overall feeling. And now all of those endorphins and everything else, you're just feeling really great. You did what you didn't want to do, and it always feels good to do the one thing you didn't want to do. So push past it, stay consistent, and trust me, the reward is always greater on the other side.
And I'll add this very quickly, guys, to kind of go with what Nate just said. In order for you to be consistent, you also have to add in some type of movements that you love to do. Okay? If you absolutely hate some, part of working out, you're not going to do it long term. So it's very important to add in things that you enjoy. Now, let's say lifting weights aligns with your overall goals, and you really should be doing it if you want to get the results that you're looking for, but it may not be your favorite thing. That's fine. You always are going to have to do some things that you don't want to do to get the results that you need to get, but in between your weight training, maybe you love to go on walks, or maybe you love to bike ride, or maybe you love to go kayaking. Throw those things into the mix too, so you're getting some type of enjoyment out of your workouts. And then it's going to make that weight training, or you insert, cardio or whatever it is that you may not be so fond of, it may not be your favorite thing, it's going to make those things easier to get done, because you have that one or those two things that you really are looking forward to, but you're still staying active. So make sure to slide those things in. If you hate every single bit of your training, it is not going to last long. So make sure to add joy into that routine.
Absolutely, great stuff.
All right,
Next
guys.
up.
Number 3, guys, sip water periodically. So you need to be sipping water, drinking more water throughout the day. And I know this has nothing to do with movement, but it will affect your workouts. If you are dehydrated, it's going to be detrimental to not only your results, but how you feel in the gym. So not only is it going to play an effect on your muscles and how they're responding to your workouts, but it's also going to make you less likely to want to actually put the work in, because you're going to be lethargic, you're going to be bloated, you're not going to feel well if you are dehydrated. So make sure that you're giving your body exactly what it needs by getting the appropriate amount of water intake in throughout the day.
Right, and not much more to add there. One thing I will mention, I've been adamant about mentioning this every time the topic of water comes up. If you're living in a hotter area, you want to be even more adamant about getting that water in, because your risk of hydration or dehydration is a lot higher. So keep your body hydrated, guys. It's critically important. That way, just like everything Larissa said, you can kind of keep those things at bay and keep everything on the up and up.
Guys, and number 4, you need to challenge yourself. So far too often, people will go to the gym and let's say they've set a goal, they're drinking their water, they're being consistent, but they just go to the gym and they kind of go through the motions. Yeah, they're moving, and yes, that's so much better than not moving. Like Nate mentioned before, something is better than nothing, but the workout is predictable and it's very much within your comfort zone. you are not going to get results living in your comfort zone. It will not happen. You are going to have to push your limits and challenge yourself and really get to a point where you feel like, man, I'm really struggling. I don't know if I can finish this. I don't know if I want to finish this. And when you really get to that point where your mental toughness has to take over your physical capabilities, that's when you know that you are challenging yourself to the level and to the degree that you need to get the results you're looking for.
Absolutely, and we can tie this back to the consistency portion as well when you spoke a bit about, doing things that you really enjoy. So if we look at the other side, the things that you don't enjoy, that can be you challenging yourself, because most times, in most cases, when you don't enjoy doing something, it's because you're not so good in that area. So hence, there's a challenge. So trying to do those things that you're not so good at, that makes you uncomfortable, could be actually beneficial for you in your workout so that you can improve in those areas, and it can actually change up things and how your body responds to your workouts at that time. So guys, push yourself out of your comfort zone. Get used to this term here. Be comfortable, get comfortable being uncomfortable. That's the name of the game when it comes to actually getting results in the gym.
And guys, the reality is that true strength does not highlight the areas that you're already good at. It exposes your weaknesses and forces you to make those become your strengths. So challenge yourself, guys. Really just take it up a notch and get outside that comfort zone. And that's going to take us into number 5, which is also going to get most people out of their comfort zones, which is stretching. So important yet so neglected. This is what I would say is a different form of pain than exercise. So this is something that I personally struggle with doing, just because the level of pain tolerance that I have for stretching is very minimal when it comes to doing it to myself. Now other people can stretch me and I'm okay with that, but taking myself to that point is challenging, right? So even though it can be painful, and even though for a lot of people it's not something that their mind first goes to when they're thinking about getting results, if you do not stretch, you are going to really do yourself a disservice, because you are going to start to limit your overall range of motion, your mobility, your flexibility. And when that happens, you are also going to limit the amount of results that you're going to get, because now those muscles are only working within a limited range. And because of that, they're not going to work as hard. Your body is always going to take the path of least resistance. It's smart. It does not want to have to work harder than what it has to, so it will recruit the absolute minimal amount of muscles possible to get the same workload done. So you need to really lengthen those muscles, make sure not only to feel better and to have full range of motion, but to also get the biggest bang for your buck when it comes to working out in the gym.
Absolutely, guys, and let me just, not only is it painful for a lot of people, but like with Larissa, okay, it's the pain tolerance of it. For me, it's just boring. It's not what I think about, like you said, with working out and getting results. And that is my biggest issue with it, is that when I think of working out and getting results, I go back to one of my great mentors in this industry, and he told me every workout doesn't have to be an intense one. Sometimes it's those little things that you can do in between your workouts to help push you closer to your goals. So lengthening up those muscles, helping those muscles have faster recovery times in between those workout sessions, those intense workout sessions, can be extremely beneficial and is extremely beneficial for your results that you're trying to go for. No matter if that's losing weight, that's putting on weight, or that's getting ready for some type of athletic event, or so on and so on, that stretching is always going to be important. And then also, last thing to mention, I know you seem like you got something you want to say, the older you get, the more important that gets as well. So just keep that in mind. It's not the most fun thing, it's not the most exciting thing, but to be honest with you, it's the most beneficial thing that you can do while you're in the gym.
I feel like I just had an epiphany, because I'm pretty sure that that is it for me. It's the combination. So not only is it the pain, it's the pace of it for me. And those combined, it doesn't match my personality. And it might match yours. You might enjoy that slower pace. That's why people do yoga and Pilates, or like, bar classes. Some of these smaller, lower impact and slower pace classes, these movements are still incredibly beneficial, but it's not for everybody, right? And for me, I think that's what it is, because working out does provide a level of pain still, but the pace is so much faster that it's something that I can mentally tolerate better. But that pain associated with the slow pace of stretching is what gets to me. And there's no excuse for it, guys. Everybody has their challenges, but we're just being vulnerable and letting you know, hey, that's something that we struggle with, and we recognize it, and it's something that we're working on. So, guys, if you have any challenges, whether it's stretching or maybe it's just like the actual workouts themselves or being consistent, whatever that looks like, go ahead and let us know what your challenges are, what you're facing, what you need to improve on, because for us, definitely stretching. It's the one component of everything that I think that I just have not mastered yet, but I will get there. All right, guys, and that brings us to number 6 here, which you need to change it up. If you're not getting the results that you're looking for, it could be because your workouts are predictable. And not just predictable to other people, but to your body as well. As I mentioned before, your body is incredibly smart, and it is only going to work as hard as you force it to. So if that means that you go to the gym and you're consistent and you're getting your movement in, but you're doing the exact same thing every single time, you go to that machine and then this one and then that one, and then you do your lab routine, and then you might walk on the treadmill for the same amount of time at the same pace, at the same incline. That's very predictable for you, for anybody watching you, and for your body. Your body's gonna, at the beginning it's gonna be challenging potentially, and then your body's gonna be like, oh, okay, I figured this out, I got this, like I know what's going on here, I remember this, I'm cool. So it's going to recruit the least amount of muscles as possible, which is actually a bad thing when it comes to your workouts, because we wanna force your body to be uncomfortable. We wanna make it work harder than what it wants to provoke change. So if you're doing the exact same thing every single time, it's time to switch it up, guys. Time to switch it up, and there's a lot of different ways that you can do this.
Absolutely, guys. There's this little thing in the training world that's called plateau. And that's exactly what's going to happen if you don't change it up. You want to keep your body guessing. You want to always constantly do things. The body is very adaptive, right? I talk about that a lot. We talk about that here on this channel a lot, is your body becoming adapted and accustomed to the new changes that you're trying to make. So when it comes to getting results, you want to challenge yourself, and you want to constantly keep your body guessing. So always switching it up every day, in and out the gym. And even if you are doing the same workout, increase that tempo of that workout, increase those weights of that workout, increase the variation of those exercises with the workout. So if you're just doing the basic 2-arm bicep curls, sometimes switch it up, go single arm, go alternating curls, go concentration curls, something of the sort. If you love to do curls, if you like to squat like myself, switch it up. Don't always do a back squat, sometimes do a front squat, sometimes do a sumo squat. But you just want to keep your body guessing, constantly recruiting new muscles so that your body doesn't ever get too familiar with the task at hand, and it becomes very, very redundant, and you ultimately hit a plateau, and your results or your improvements come to a screeching halt, and you just find yourself stuck in that same place, and you're not going back, which is a good thing, but you're not going forward as well. So to continue to do that, you want to always switch it up, change it up, and constantly keep your body guessing to avoid those plateaus.
Yep, guys, and technically, scientifically speaking, you have about 6 weeks before your body hits that plateau that Nate's talking about. So you can theoretically do the same type of workouts for that 6-week period, but even making small changes, because the reality is, if you do the exact same workout for 6 weeks, you're going to get stronger in those movements. It's just going to happen. So you have to, at the very least, increase the weight, because as you get stronger, you're going to have to demand a heavier load to get the same effect. But changing the exercise, changing the weight, changing the intensity, the tempo, the reps, the sets, these are all ways that you can change up your workout, and you don't have to use them all at once. You can literally just change one little thing, just one minor detail, and that is enough to keep the body working for you. And I think a lot of people, when they hire us, they're like, oh, I love working with Nate and Larissa because they switch it up so much and we're always doing something different every day. And then, to you that's true, but the reality is we do the same type of stuff because we're always doing the fundamentals. Now we just may switch it up slightly and make a lunge look like something completely different, but at the end of the day, it's still a lunge. And so we practice this theory every single day. We always are switching things up, but at the end of the day, we always fall back on the fundamentals. So we're always falling back on those primary movements, things like a squat, a hinge, a push, a press, a pull. These are all movements that, if you look at our program designs or if you are to work with us, you're always going to find these movements hidden within our program. So guys, you can do the same for your workouts at home. Just make sure you're hitting the major muscle groups and then just make slight changes to those. As you become more advanced, you can make them more fun or you can keep them simple. But as long as you stick to the fundamentals, you're going to be good to go. Just keep changing it up and challenging yourself in those areas.
All right, I don't know about you guys, but that was some great information. I think I'm ready to work out again, even though I am as dead as a doorknob right now. When it comes to switching it up, I went out and played some basketball earlier today. Didn't mean to play to the extent I did, but man, my body is feeling every dribble that I took on the court today, every shot, every rebound I jumped for, every defensive stand that I got in, I feel it everywhere. And I'm like, man, 10, 15 years ago, I could have did that. I remember getting up at 8 o'clock in the morning, getting to the park around 10, and I didn't come home till around 8 p.m. I couldn't dare do that these days, and I'm just like astounded of how worn out I am. And even though I work out, I like to consider myself in shape. I can be in better shape, but compared to the average person, I'm in pretty good shape. And what was it? An hour of basketball today, just playing king of the court, took everything I had for the rest of the day. So I'm looking forward to getting this day wrapped up. So I hope you guys took all that in. Hopefully you hit that comment section. Let us know what your goals are. Talk to us about, how do you challenge yourself, or if you're challenging yourself, do you stretch enough, and are you switching it up? Guys, 6 things that you can do to improve your workouts today, right now, in this moment. We just gave it to you. Utilize it and watch how much better you be for it.
All right, guys, thank you so much. We love you guys. Make sure to tune in, same time, same place for your weekly dose of Trainer Talk Tuesday. And as always, never give up,
never lose hope, and
never settle.
All right, guys, have a great rest of your day. And what is that weather like?
Old man, can't help himself.